This is Tom Goolsbee, and this is my article for the fourth week of March 2013 entitled Racial Justice Act Debate Off Point. The recent debate in the State Senate Judiciary I Committee over the repeal of the so-called Racial Justice Act was fascinating. Liberal Democrat committee members attempted to confuse the issue, arguing that the death penalty was unjust and unnecessary. Death penalty opponents from the public testified against state-mandated executions. A Mennonite pastor threatened supporters of the death penalty with eternal damnation. Even Darrell Hunt, who was wrongfully convicted of rape and murder and sentenced to life in prison, not death, testified as if he had been on death row and was somehow saved by RJA. The only actor to miss a chance to perform as lead thespian of the NAACP was William Barber. All the drama and theater, however, amounted to very little substance and completely missed the point on why RJA is on the execution block. Now, RJA cases have nothing to do with the guilt or innocence of the defendant. Please remember that. These cases are heard after a killer has been convicted of cold-blooded murder. There is no question as to the criminal's guilt. Instead, RJA attempts to blame the system, particularly the prosecutor who sought the death sentence, for the defendant's predicament. In the ultimate irony, the RJA turns the murderer into a victim of racial prejudice through the use of so-called statistical analysis. At the Senate hearing, several family members of murder victims were present. The most heart-rending and relevant testimony came from Marcia Howell of Mocksville. Her 17-year-old daughter Yvette was murdered in 1992. The cold-blooded killer, William Christopher Gregory, on death row since 1994, has appealed his conviction under RJA. Ms. Howell gave an impassioned plea asking that the injustice of RJA come to an end. Her testimony was particularly persuasive due to the fact that her daughter and the murderer are both black. RJA has not been without consequences. Last year, the first appeals were heard. A liberal judge in Fayetteville overturned 4 death row convictions, sentencing the murderers to life in prison. The judge then promptly retired. One case involved the murder of Fayetteville police officer Roy Turner. Yet again, the facts were bizarre. Officer Turner and his murderer were both black. Under RJA, somehow placing a black man on death row for murdering a black man is racist. Go figure. The most enlightening testimony of the hearing came from District Attorney Locke Bell. The Gaston County prosecutor turned the tables on RJA supporters. He informed the committee that he was accused of racism by 3 men that he put on death row. Bell and the 3 killers are all white. The reason he's accused of being a racist under RJA is because he never chose to seek the death penalty against a black defendant. Bell fears that the white first-degree murderers may have a case under the misguided Racial Justice Act. His fears are well-founded. Under RJA, he may be deemed a racist prosecutor whose successful prosecutions will be Monday morning quarterbacked by a liberal judge. RJA was so poorly conceived and written that virtually every death row killer, regardless of race, has appealed his execution, creating a de facto moratorium on our state's death penalty. Regardless of your support of or opposition to the death penalty, it's been around quite a while, and it remains the law of our state. At its heart, RJA was created to provide an end run around the death penalty while trying to turn killers into victims. As death penalty opponents continue their shrill cries to save the lives of murderers, we should never forget the silent victims who lie in their graves and their families who continue to suffer. It's past time that our state rid itself of this bad law. I'm Tom Goolsbee, a state senator, practicing attorney and law professor. I'm chairman, or actually a co